Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing really well. Today I'm going to be in the world of Oasis Springs doing a small mid-century modern build. I don't consider this build a tiny house necessarily. It's very small, like it's very much only large enough for 2 Sims, but I didn't have tiny home in mind while I was building it. I got the inspiration for this from a Pinterest photo. That Pinterest photo had like these sort of 3 different sections with the flat roof, and then it had a bunch of wood and like really huge windows. And so I decided to take that and instead go with a white exterior, something sort of clean and modern looking while still having that sort of mid-century feel to it, especially with the wood tones and things like that. So I really enjoy this build. It's so cute. I'd live here in a heartbeat. So cute. But anyway, you see me putting around the edges a lot of windows. I do end up taking some of those windows out. Eventually, some, like as I adjust the floor plan, some of them just don't work. And of course, those windows at the top just lead into the ceiling, but it looks nice on the exterior. But anyway, this build is really super cute. I do not build in Oasis Springs very often. The desert world is just not necessarily my favorite. I prefer like green and grass, and I don't know, it's just more inspiring to me to make homes that fit that world style, I guess. But I do like to build in Oasis Springs from time to time. It really lends itself to like different home styles and of course different landscaping, which I can always use more practice in. So I thought this was good for me to kind of get out of like where I typically build and do something that was at least allowed me to be very creative. But yeah, just figuring out an exterior. For the roof, I did go with that gravelly roof. I do that a lot with Oasis Springs actually. For me, it's the most mid-century modern-ish, I don't know, Brady Bunch looking house or roof type for me. I don't have whatever type. I've seen several people do mid-century modern homes, and I think they use like a specific pack of furniture. Maybe it's bowling stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong if you have that pack and you use it a lot for mid-century modern, but whatever it is, I don't have most of that furniture, so I do the best that I can with what I've got. I do imagine that this house is for 2 Sims. I imagine that it's a couple. I don't have any careers in mind for them exactly, for what I want them to do or what their traits are. I just imagine that they're kind of just starting out and they've bought this sort of old house and have managed to fix it up as best they can, not completely, but they've got more modern features inside and they enjoy their plants, and that they've gone for a sort of, like I said, clean mid-century modern-ish vibe to it, at least as mid-century modern as I could get. But you're gonna see me do a little bit on the exterior here. I do not do anything with the backyard on this build. I was not feeling inspired to do any like sitting areas or anything like that, so I decided to leave it blank. I might come back to it at a later date, but I do give them a little garden up at the front, at least a little landscaped garden anyway. And I really like to use that really low fence to kind of mark flower beds, especially in Oasis Springs where it's so much sand. You can at least mark lines for your dirt. That's a look that I like to go for. But placed a couple of palm trees since I never get to use those outside of Oasis Springs. I do not have island living yet, so this is as tropical as I get, besides Salvadorado. I apologize if you can hear my puppy barking in the back. She's a little bit upset that I'm in here without her, so so just ignore that if you hear it. But putting a few little plants in front of the build. I don't remember what those plants are called, but I don't use them very often. They may have come with Jungle Adventure, I'm not exactly sure, but I kept it sort of to a minimum. I used a lot of succulents, a lot of like deserty style plants, because I don't use them very often. I think they're so pretty. They're just really hard to make work, at least for me. Here I am trying to play around with the terrain paint. I wanted to make kind of a shadow on that walkway, but it was not working out, so I decided to abandon that and just leave it the way it was. But putting a few plants around the entryway on the side right here, I really love that front door. That is very mid-century modern, so I got that right at least. But doing just a little bit of last touches on the front of the house, and then I'm going to start working on the floor plan. So this is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath home. I do manage to make a little laundry room. It's not a room necessarily, it's a tiny little nook, but it's big enough for those stacked washer and dryer, so I mean that works for me. So I'm putting in some of these cabinets. I went with those base game cabinets that come in a zillion different colors. I love those cabinets. I've been using them more and more often. I went a long time without ever using them, and now I can't stop, so but just putting in a few of those in, I thought they looked sort of mid-century modern-esque, and then a stove and a fridge, and then I'm going to put a few around the top. Now, you see that I've put those huge windows back behind the cabinets. I hate when you can see the back of the appliances in the kitchen. So I do end up getting rid of those windows, and I put in sort of like a feature wall, I guess, or an accent wall in like this concrete swatch. You'll see me do it here in a minute. I think it ends up looking pretty cool, at least as a modern mid-century house. It's kind of hard to explain. You'll see me do it here in a second. I'm trying to figure out some curtains to go in, which I do figure out here in a minute, but there we go. And then I put those two smaller windows in there, so at least the kitchen has some sort of view outside. And then I put in those half curtains that we got from Parenthood. I would love to have more half curtains in this game. I use the ones from Parenthood so often that I feel like I'm almost sick of them, but they work so much, like with, you know, especially kitchens, because the curtains clip into the cabinets. But anyway, those are the curtains that I go with, and that is the sort of accent wall that I go with, is that sort of cinder block looking thing. I thought it looked kind of cool. I'm actually really pleased with it. But then I kind of go with this sort of orangish, like pale orange theme, and I put that bread box in and that little shelf above the stove. I saw another simmer do this in one of their builds. I can't remember who it is. It may have been Evelyn. But anyway, she put something above her stove and then put some utensils and salt and pepper shakers in there, and I just thought it looked really, really cute. And then I put that rug in there and the trash can, and then I'm going to be moving on to sort of some accents in the kitchen. I kind of jump all around in this house. I hardly complete one room before I'm moving on to the next and then backtracking and redoing things, so bear with me a little bit. This is where I'm deciding to go with the plain white walls. I want it to look very clean and fresh with some, like, you know, sort of vintagey orange accents, which I think I accomplished pretty well. I'm kind of proud of this one. But anyway, just putting some pots and pans up on top of the stove. I really like that item. I finally got Cool Kitchen stuff not that long ago, so I tried to use some more of those things. I don't necessarily do it in this build, but I have used it in the last couple of mine, and I want to keep doing that in the future. I'm trying to figure out the flooring. Now, I end up going with my typical plain, like, I'm pretty sure it's a base cane floor. Yes, that in that sort of like pale yellow wood. I love this floor. I use it in probably 80% of my builds, but it's so perfect. It matches so many things. So, and it really fit in with that orange tile that I used for the kitchen. So, but anyway, just put in that little table and a couple of chairs for them to have a place to eat. I don't think it's going to take up too much room. I think they should be able to get around it fine. But then you're going to see me move on to this sort of entryway. Now, I kept the entryway very minimal, and you see me put in that little nook for the laundry room. So I put in that washer and dryer stacked on top of each other, and then just put a couple of wall decorations. I put in that shelf from Laundry Day with the iron and the hangers and a couple of other things on it, and that's pretty much it for that. I mean, obviously for that little nook. I put in the washboard as sort of a decoration, and then I think I also put the broom and dustpan item in there a little bit later. But see me go back to the kitchen. I add that cutting board in there, also from Cool Kitchen stuff. I've seen so many people use that for so long, and I finally get to use them. So happy. But going in and putting a little bit of artwork, I put that bacon, or is it bacon? No, eggs and grapefruit picture on the wall that reminds me so much of Parks and Rec. Any Parks and Rec fans out there in Ron's office, it just has pictures of breakfast food. That's what that makes me think of. It just makes me laugh every time I see it. But putting a couple of clutter items in the entryway, I put that wine bottle rack, mini rack thing on top of the fridge, and then in the entryway I'm putting that little thing of umbrellas and a stack of mail and a little phonograph, I guess. Is that what they're called? Phonographs? I put that in there. I thought it kind of fit the vibe of the house. And then I finish it off with a mirror on top. Now you're going to see me work on the other side of the entryway. I pretty much just only put some those like random photos that may have come with cats and dogs. I can't exactly remember. And then I think I forgo a rug in the entryway. No, I put a welcome mat in. Anyway, it's been a few days since I've done this, so forgive me if I'm trying to remember what I've done. But I put a shoe rack and a little welcome mat, and that will be it for the entryway. So I'm going to be moving on to the living room. Now, the living room, you're going to see me place like 4 couches, trying to figure out which one looks the most mid-century modern, but I end up going with this one. I love the swatches that this couch comes in. I don't use it enough, and I need to use it more because it's so cute, especially that sort of like pale cream color with the orange and red. Is it a blanket or is it just like an accent upholstery. Either way, it's cute. And then I go with these sort of drapey curtains from Vintage Glamour, I believe. I love those curtains. They're one of the few curtains in this game that don't drive me crazy, so I use them a lot in this build. But you're going to see me place that little black chair. I end up moving it to the bedroom. I thought the little spindly legs on it made it look very mid-century modern, but I'd go with that chair that sort of matches the 2 love seats that I put in there. And then you're going to see me size down that coffee table, and then I'm going to put in sort of like I put in a fireplace to put the TV on. And that's pretty much it besides the clutter for the living room. I didn't have very much space to work with, but I really like the way that this turned out. I end up having to size down, things like the coffee table and the end table to make them fit, but I think it kind of works. I feel like mid-century modern furniture is very minimalistic while still having that old charm. I may just be talking out of my league. This is what mid-century modern is to me. I'm not a design student or anything like that, but that's what I think of when I think of mid-century modern. But you're going to see me put a few clutter items on top of the fireplace. I've got that sort of golden dog looking thing and some books, and I put some candles in the fireplace along with that really cool rug that I also don't use often enough. So I'm trying to figure out at this point where to put a bookshelf. I end up putting it in the bedroom, and I believe that I end up moving on to the bedroom here in a minute. I do find some artwork to place around to kind of work with the vibe that I'm going for. It was harder than I thought, actually, to find some mid-century modern artwork, but what I went with I think kind of fits the vibe, and I put that sort of light fixture in the kitchen with the can lights, and then you're going to see me move on to the bedroom. Now, this bed, excuse me, about to sneeze. Nope. Got it. All right. This bed is the only one that sort of seemed mid-century modern to me with the little spindly legs that it's on. It was pretty much the only one that kind of worked, so that's the one I ended up going with. I also put those same end tables that I used in the living room in the bedroom, and then I put that artwork right there. I do end up moving it, but I also put in that little floating shelf and that beautiful hanging fern that I think is from Jungle Adventure. Yes. And I kind of put that in there to kind of look like it's a little pot and it's just grown so big and it's hanging over the top. I thought that was really cute, and I'm putting in a lot of clutter items here in a lot of different places. So but I do replace that artwork right there with that wall tapestry hanging thing, and I put one of those reed diffusers. That's what they're called, reed diffusers. I had a little bit of trouble with that a few weeks ago, but that's what it's called, on the fireplace to kind of round out that room. And then I put that little sort of mid-century bookshelf in the bedroom along with a plant and that black chair that I wasn't sure what to do with, but I really wanted to use. And then I finish it off with a rug, and I think that's pretty much it for this bedroom. I do put those little lamps in there. They kind of match the one in the living room, but they're a little bit different, so I think that works pretty well. And I think I put a little bit more clutter on that floating shelf. No, I don't. No, I leave it with the books and the little pear picture that my husband jokes that I have to put that in every single build that I do. But anyway, I'm going to move on to the bathroom. Now for the bathroom, I don't know what got me in this mood to do this, but I decided to make a succulent shower. I've seen people put moss in their bathrooms because the moss absorbs the moisture. So I put those succulents in there, and I think it looks really cute. Now, my PlayStation does fudge up a little bit here, and it cuts off some of my bathroom build, but I do film a smaller video for you to see the details. But I mean, it's your basic small bathroom. I've got a sink and a toilet and all of that stuff, a mirror that I think kind of fits the vibe. Here you'll see me go in to do the finished product, but I put those same flowy curtains in from Vintage Glamour, and there's my finished succulent shower. I'm really kind of proud of this. I think it looks really good. But then you're going to see me move on to the mirror and all that stuff, and that's pretty much the end of this build. I really hope you guys like this one. I had so much fun. It was really fun to be really creative, so thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and leave any comments or suggestions that you have below, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, guys.